Preston made sure I didn't have the tools to escape. Made sure I didn't have access to large sums of cash, couldn't book anything out of the country, had all of my important identification. But his ego had given me my ticket out of his life. Same with the earrings at my ears, the watch I wore, the purse. All of it was bought as gifts. Not for me, for himself, so the town would see how much he spoiled his beautiful wife. I grinned as I drove out of the parking lot, thinking of what the town would say when it became clear that his spoiled, beautiful wife had left him. 3 hours later, I was driving out of the city in an old Toyota. It was bright red, smelled faintly of cigarette smoke, and had only cost me a couple of $1,000s. I had much more cash tucked into my cheap Walmart backpack, a lot more. I hadn't sold everything, not at once. It would be dangerous, a woman on the road alone, carrying large amounts of cash. No more dangerous than living in my McMansion in New Hampshire for nearly 2 decades. But I'd had my share of violence. I would be cautious, but not afraid. I was done being afraid. It was just like that. A switch flipped. I wasn't sure how such a thing was possible. Weakness was a character trait at this point. I'd been so sure I didn't have a backbone, a personality of my own. But whatever it was inside me that snapped, I grew from the cracks of that. Me. There was a scene in Gone Girl. I'd watched the movie countless times and read the book twice as many, where Rosamund Pike was driving down the road, stuffing her face with food after framing her husband for her murder. She looked so utterly free in that scene. I'd watched it over and over with envy. Not that Ben Affleck's character quite deserved to be framed for her murder. He was a cheater and kind of a selfish asshole, but he did not deserve that. Preston, on the other hand, thoroughly deserved to be framed for my murder. Unfortunately, I was not as smart as Amy was in the book. I did not have the guts or the intelligence to fake my own murder and frame my husband, no matter how much I fantasized about it. It was that car scene I fantasized about, not my trainer or my neighbor or the hot guy at the coffee shop who always flirted with me. No, it was her in that scene, free for the first time in years, knowing that no one knew where she was and no one knew who she was. Unfortunately, I could not Gone Girl my husband, even if I'd had the smarts and the guts, because of my daughter. The child I adored, the child who worshipped her father and knew nothing of what kind of monster he was. I would and did endure years of torture for my perfect daughter. I would do anything to protect her from harm.